Alright, okay, without further ado, now introductions are in order. First up, this Authors Anonymous session is called Anthology of Mythology, and it is in association with Sonali's Book Club. So if you're a Sonali's Book Club member, please give yourselves a round of applause. Amazing. Sonali's Book Club was the first people that we reached out to when we wanted to do this, because obviously a community of readers and, and obviously Sonali being the driving force behind all of this. So it was a no-brainer for us to do this collaboration with them. So yes, our host for today is none other than actor, activist, author, and founder of Sonali's Book Club herself. Sonali Bendre is in the house, everyone. And it wouldn't be Authors Anonymous without a guest author, obviously. So it's our privilege and honor to have India's finest author, columnist, public speaker, and probably the most recommended name when it comes to Indian mythology literature, Mr. Anand Neelakantan. Thank you so much. We're going to be discussing the anthology of mythology. We're going to try and delve into the worlds that Mr. Neelakantan has created with his books, and then also what is to come in the future. There are some fun questions for you guys, so please feel free to participate. We would love if you guys also interact with us. And yeah, are we rolling? We're rolling? Yes? So over to you, Sonali.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's amazing to see so many faces. Should I do that again? Hello? Hello? Yeah? Is that okay? Great. Okay, so retake. I'm used to retakes. Good afternoon, everybody. It's amazing to see so many of you here. Sonali's Book Club started online because it was a great way to connect. But we did miss these kind of interactions which are personal. Pratul has been part of that since the inception of Sonali's Book Club. He has been part of it, and we've been doing some offline things, or sometimes when he was with Facebook at that point of time, we were doing things that were in the studio. We would talk to the authors face to face. As COVID came in more and more, it's been online, and I've been missing meeting people. So this, when they came to me with this idea, it was like, this is a great idea, and if we can, even if it is a small group of people, the whole idea about reading in a book club is when it is intimate, where you can discuss things. So this is just perfect, and this place is wonderful, really. Hats off to you guys for getting this place up and going. It's amazing. To start off now, we have today Anand Neelakantan, one of my favorite authors.
Thank you.
And yeah.
Thank you so much.
Always. So for me, the introduction to Anand Neelakantan's work was Asur, and I had that on my book club. And at that point of time, I think you're one of the first people to really kind of write mythology and give the twist that you did. My mind was blown. I said, yeah, somebody is writing what you think about. The whole point of when you read stories or when you hear stories is, what if the ending was different? What if this character was like that? That's the beauty of reading, because you imagine so many things. So everything that you could have maybe thought of or slightly imagined, not as much as he did, he had put that down and written a book like that. And it was just an eye-opener, because you were suddenly looking at characters which were so idolized in a different way, in a very human way. And since then, I have been an ardent fan, and he has been an amazing supporter of Sonali's Book Club also. Whenever we have reached out and whenever we have done various things, Anand has come in with all his enthusiasm and supported us. So Anand, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So once again, when we are back from COVID and we are starting with an offline event, it was just logical to reach out to him and say, can we do this together? Of course, and the fact that his book is coming out, Nala Damayanti, was also an added bonus in that sense, because I'm going to talk about that. I want to know, what is this, you're now picking up characters which are not so much heard about. But that a little later. As I start with I want to ask you a few questions which we have spoken about earlier, but I think it would be great to kind of start off with in this. You're taking characters, stories, which we've all grown up on, which are part of our social, cultural fabric, and then you twist them. What is the thought behind that?
Thank you, Sonali. Before proceeding, she has always been a woman of inspiration for everyone, and hats off to her. I am so privileged to be associated with her right from the 6 years, I think third or fourth sessions this is. So thank you so much. Now coming back to the question. I think what has happened is the television changed things a lot. There are multiple versions of Ramayana, Mahabharata or any stories which you have heard. What television did or what the new age media is doing is to silence all other versions and bring only one prominent version to the fore. So what I essentially did was, what I did is nothing new. This was done, I think, in 2nd century BC or 3rd century BC by Bhasa onwards, and lots of writers have written. Like Bhasa has written Urubanga, which is Duryodhan's point of view. So much, 2200 years before I had written Ajaya, India has a tradition of one of the alternate ending you were talking about, Panjaratra of Bhasa again. There is no Mahabharata war. They sit across the table and discuss and finish off the...
Really?
So these kind of experiments used to happen in Indian literature long ago.
Amazing.
And there are multiple versions in Indian languages, all the Indian languages, most of the Indian languages. There are at least 32 Ramayanas where Sita is the daughter of Ravan, which I used in Asur. It's not my invention or anything. All the Ramayans which are gone through the sea towards east, like Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, most of them have Sita as the daughter of Ravan. Not to shock or not to hurt anybody's sentiments. That hurt itself is a very funny word, which is a new word actually, because Indians as a culture, Hinduism as a civilization used to accept all points of view. That's why these are there. There are Buddhist Ramayanas. I don't want to bore you going technical into that.
It's not boring at all.
Buddhist Ramayanas were they are the prince of not Ayodhya but Varanasi. There are, and many states of India claim, right, not just states of India, many places across Asia claim Ramayana happened there. Right from Afghanistan to the tribals in Wayanad, to central India, to Thailand, they all claim Ayodhya is there, Lanka is there, everything is in and around. So it is a very localized thing. What the people use now, globalization, that actually had happened with that. Every place had its own mythology and other things linked to it. And it is not even religiocentric. There are Christian, Catholic Ramayans where the characters are Christian. Actually, 4 years back, before COVID, in MMRDA grounds, there was this Ramayana festival. I don't know how many people attended. There was a Ramayana festival in the Bandra. So I was one of the cultural ambassadors from the government. So at that time, Fadnavis sir was the CM. And a lot of people from the government was there. So before that, I was giving a lecture on Ramayana. If you are interested more on that, in Audible, I have done a 16-hour lecture on various nuances of many Ramayanas, many lessons. But the crux of it was, I told slightly like what I told like this, where I said, Sita is the daughter of Ravan in many Ramayanas. Actually, it comes from the Vimala Suri's Jaina Ramayana for the first time, but it happens in many Ramayanas. There was a kind of uproar.
Okay.
Nothing bad as such. People were surprised. They said, no, it can't be. I said, I can only say what is there. I'm not saying that is the Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana is considered as authentic. For religious purpose, use it. But for civilizational and cultural purpose, so many things are there. We should be aware of it. That's how the Indian civilization has spread across the world with multiple versions. There is nothing like this is the version. I've even told there is a Ramayana, Muslim Ramayana is there, where Ram, Ravan, everyone are Muslims and they do namas and other things in between. Catholic Ramayanas are there. I was just telling it, and it's not the right from the time of Kameli Brooke to K. Ramanujan to a lot of scholars have worked on it, and so many have compiled. And what they are not compiled, also plenty are available in the oral literature. After that, they started the Ramayana festival. So 7 days it was there, where each country is showing their theatre, traditional theatre of Ramayana. And everything which came from Philippines, which is a Catholic Ramayana, to Buddhist Ramayans of Thailand, to Indonesia, to Malaysia, all of them had Sita as the daughter of the Ravan, where all the dignitaries were present. They were presenting it accordingly, and it's something they invented. It's like 700-year-old, 800-year-old tradition. So, answering your question without, I have this tendency of diverting to a lot of things.
We love that diversions that you go into. That's what makes it special.
What interested me and why I wrote like this is because I just wanted to bring the tradition. Because for me, this is not something which I got through books. Because books...
How did you get it then?
Indian tradition is basically oral, if you really see. Books was a disruptive technology which came 500 or 600 years ago perhaps.
Wow.
Just like what we talk about internet now. At that time, it would have been disruptive technology. So, what happens when books come, when something is written down, it becomes rigid because you cannot change it. So, oral traditions, like the place where I hail from Kerala, there is a, now it is a part of the Cochin city, but at that time it was a separate village called Tripunithra. It's a very old Chera capital. Chola Chera Pandya, the Chera capital. So there are more temples than perhaps necessary, almost 108 temples in a small village, most of them 1500, 1600 year old. They have these traditional art forms being performed. So there is Sanskrit theatre, there is Malayalam theatre, there is Tamil theatre, traditional theatre and like Kudiyatam as UNESCO. This is one of the older, not one of the, it is the oldest living theatre in the world. It's 2200 year old. Still, it survives. It was a pan-Indian theatre, but other places it has died off. Kerala, it still survives. That is where the Basas, Uribanga and all are actually played even now. Okay. The practitioners are there. So you get exposed to this kind of multiple traditional versions.
So as a child, this was
something which at that time I hated because my father used to drag me and put me there. I didn't know what I'm getting exposed.
This was something that was compulsory.
That was compulsory at that time. Now I thank him for what my parents had done at that time, because much later when I grew bored with my corporate job and all those things, this was what came to my rescue, to leave my job and indulge full time into something which I was dragged at that time to the temple. Right. Because this is like Nalada Mehendi, which I have written, it's a 4-day play.
Oh, 4 days.
4 days. So this is from an era. This is what we are trying for this era, to make it into a 200, 250 page book, 300 page book. Why? Because since you are an accomplished actor, the concept itself was different. What
was the concept?
In the sense, now we are influenced a lot by the Aristotle's poetics and their theatres and other things, because we imitate the Hollywood. But the Asian or Indian style, I won't say Indian, because Indian style influenced Malaysia and all other Far East. An actor is someone, like for example Kathakali, or you take Kudiyatam, or this kind of, which is based on this theatre, these are theatres, like Bharatanatyam, Mohiniyattam and all are dance forms. But I am talking about the proper theatre, traditional theatre format. In that, they will have one stanza, one line, like Nala is talking to Damayanti. As an example, I am not an expert on that, only from observation I am telling. The singer will sing the same line in 100 different versions without repeating it. And the actor will have to show the 100 variation of the same thing. That is where, so you are talking about retakes to get it correct. So this is, so an actor was...
Now we know where the retake started from.
So the actor's purpose was how he or she is able to show the same thing with multiple variations. So the theory was, hope I'm not boring you with theories. Theory was, thank you. Theory was natural. Now we put a lot of importance for natural acting. You are such a natural actor. But the theory is there is nothing called natural acting. Even in writing or something. There is nothing. Acting itself is artificial, right? Natural acting is what? I'm sorry, I'm telling this with an accomplished actor here. Natural acting is like, I am feeling it for. So this is what the Western, the way in which life and art is seen, that's the difference I'm trying to bring. When writing also it comes, that what is that I am feeling in the theater and other things. They tell that means now when you go for a acting class and all. Recently I acted in 2 or 3 ad films and all.
I want to know about this also.
Some ad films and one show, television show I acted, but nothing big, just as a cameo.
I have to say that when we are throwing things to the audience, please, one little tip. We have to get him to act out something. Don't forget.
I cannot act out. But so I used to come here. Here one gentleman called Rajesh used to take the class. So I used to come to this, the opposite Teflas, this thing to do. But there the emphasis the master was giving, the acting coach was giving was to be natural and what you feel about it, try to express it. That was his style. When you tell that, what happens is you can show only what happens to you as an actor. But here, in the traditional format, even when you are writing or doing it or singing it, you are becoming different person. So I am doing it because now I had to cry. Something happened, I had to cry. I'm not going to cry, don't worry. I had to cry. If I am a natural actor, I will cry only like how I will cry. But here the training is I will imagine and try to think how you will cry, how you will cry, how you will cry, how you will cry. And in different ways you are doing it and feeling it different. So that is why it used to take 4 days, 7 days, etc. to enact.
So a 4-day play, you've got it down in 250 pages. How did you do that?
This is meant for today's people, no? This
So
is
just only one person's feeling. Not
one
100
person's
times.
feeling, yes. So even when they are talking about writing also, they try to make it very crisp because we don't have time. Now it is around 19 seconds. He will be, his ex-Facebook, so he will be able to tell. That's the time which we can have without distraction, or is it coming lesser? 6 seconds.
It's come down to 6 seconds.
6 seconds. Story in 100 words, tweet it. So what is happening? No, there is no, I will suggest, try to read big books. Try to see shows which goes on and on, because there is a reason for it. We are losing the power to concentrate. Why we should read books is, one reason is that, because there is no depth in what we are doing now. We are just, attention is getting distracted faster and faster and faster and faster. So the idea of 4 days telling this and trying to bring this itself, why? Because everything is getting influenced by internet and other things, internet and your mobile phones and distractions.
You got it down to 250 pages.
Imagine my Asura was 500, 600 pages.
I
In
loved
10
it.
years, the publishers don't want it 500 pages, 700 pages.
Oh.
As an industry insider, I am telling, because one is cost, wrong thing to say. Cost, the book, people will spend 700 rupees for a Starbucks coffee, a bad coffee. I am a connoisseur of filter coffee, so that's what I am saying. So bad coffee, 700 bucks. What you get from a local 15 rupee coffee, you pay 700 rupees and take, but they won't spend 400 rupees for a book.
True.
Correct. So the print cost is there, so the publishers want it smaller because they are also fighting a losing battle, an attention battle. So I started as a writer for making a living. I am more of a screenplay writer now. I have written more screenplays than book. I have 13 books, but almost 700 pages of screenplay. So it has become to that, and even in screenplay writing, you will be aware, no?
You know, the latest screenplay is Taj, yes.
Taj was the latest, and thankfully one big film is coming. 2 films are coming.
Really? Are we talking about them? Or
We
not
can
yet?
talk about them. Announcement should come soon, but this is a closed thing. It's based on Mahabharata.
Oh.
No.
Now we want to know if you're going to tweak it.
Of course, there will be some signature of mine, but it's based on a character of Mahabharata set in that time. One major character of Mahabharata who was in Kaurava's side. Beyond that, I need not say no.
Okay. Totally. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we will talk about. See, another thing you asked, no, why are you writing? It is nothing new. In other Indian languages, these things have been coming regularly.
So my question is more like, you know, what were, obviously your exposure to these stories and, you know, your parents taking you there is what has exposed you to these stories, and that's what made you write this. Is this what you're saying? And a lot of people are exposed to these stories, but still don't really choose mythology as the genre to write. It's not an easy genre to write, because there is a process of research that has to be done. So what is your process of research?
2 things why I chose it. I wanted, I started my writing as in Malayalam as a satire columnist actually.
Oh.
Satire and political columns, satire columns in a comic kind of book. But, and I used to earn 50 rupees per month kind of thing. So I wanted to leave the job and go. So it actually, I thought I have to write something. And at that time, Chetan Bhagat's big time it was. Even now. So at that time, it was like he was coming up with half girlfriend and all. It was dangerous for me to write. I was already married, I had 2 kids. I can't even write about quarter girlfriends. Forget half girlfriends. And something which so I thought that I'll write what I am familiar with, what I have, and you need a kind of madness if you ask me, to write. Now it is big. Mythology has become big after 10, 12 years. Mythology, historical fiction, Bahubali.
Absolutely, you were one of the first ones to write.
Bahubali came, Ponniyin Selvan. So many things are coming now, big shows, big things. But at that time it was madness to write. But what is a writer without some madness? Basically, I wrote what I am comfortable with, familiar with, and I also wanted perhaps to stop this monochromatic view of this is right and this is wrong, because that is not what our civilization is about. That is why we have got there is a multiplicity of God. There is no one book or there is no one God, and
there are different versions of
different
everything.
versions
Everybody's
and
truth is
different. The concept itself is like Ishta Devada, right? That is your favorite God, your personal God, whichever way you want. So there are temples for Duryodhana in India, ancient temples. So one reason for my second book, Ajaya, was my visit to, I think we discussed it last time, but if other audience are not there, there's a temple. There are 2 temples, there might be many temples, but 2 important temples are there. One is in Himachal Pradesh, but much bigger than that. One is there in Kerala near Koilon, which is Malanada Poruvadi temple. You can Google it and say it has a Ratha Yatra as big as Puri Jagannath, but it is Duryodhan they are taking around. Duryodhan, Dushwasan, Shakuni and all they are taking around. Almost 10 lakh people come. It's a huge temple for Duryodhan. There are temples for Ravan. So I had visited this and I was surprised, and then you get familiarized with this tradition of countertelling, which is inherent in Indian culture and ethos. So I thought I should project it, and I found that like Marathi Mrityunjaya, and in Odia is there. In Malayalam, Rendamuzham, where Bhima is the character, or Urikaval, where Angad is the character. Then in Pradibara is, in Odia it is there. Draupadi with Draupadi.
Favorite book.
There. So many of them are there in Indian
So
language.
did you read these translations or did you read? How many languages do you know?
No, I don't know many languages. I know Malayalam, Tamil, Hindi, English, and Kannada. I can understand. I cannot read.
Wow, 5. I
And
don't know
a
many
bit of
languages with
Sanskrit,
5.
a bit of Sanskrit. So 5, 6. Not a scholar or anything. I can understand a bit. I studied traditionally. I studied, but I have understanding of the language. Not if somebody comes, a scholar comes, I won't be able to talk.
So these were the versions you read in these in their native languages? Or
No,
were
no.
the
All I
translations
cannot. Malayalam, of course, I can read. Malayalam has a lot of books like that. Tamil, a bit I can read. Others were all translated. So all these, like Mrityunjaya, I read in Malayalam only, and it's translated later in English. So most of these are available in English now as a translation.
Okay.
In case if people are not familiar with other languages, almost all of these have come in English. So and they also follow a tradition of using the traditional theatre and other things. So they also come from a lot of very rooted they are. When they are writing in that particular language, this was written 40 years, 50 years, 100 years ago. So they are already rooted, already they draw from a tradition which is already there. So that is how
So
it
this
continues.
was your research process, was to go through these various versions.
Not just that, I travel a lot to temples and other places where every temple will have slices of Ramayana, Mahabharata or other Puranas. Every place they will claim Ram had come here, Hanuman had sat here, Sita has cooked there. And some version of stories, slices of stories, you will get it from every place. Like Jadayu has fallen at least in 7, 8 places in India. Hanuman was born at least in 4, 5 places. There are different claimants. But India is a country where we fight for Rasgulla and Idli and Mysore Pak. So why not on which god was born or which avatar was born? So Hanuman is born also in...
That's fine, I get that, but you still know, there's some secret that is holding back. Are you telling me that your research process is just traveling and reading these different versions, or is there anything
Hearing a
else?
lot. I have a lot of oral versions recorded, and a lot of them I have. Lot of them I heard.
Okay.
So oral versions are also there. So oral versions, as I said, no, they keep on changing.
Right.
One example, if I give, why writing is a problematic thing.
It's rigid. In a book club, he's telling us why writing and reading
No, it has an
is a
advantage.
problematic thing.
No, it's a technology. Writing is a technology, right? When you are talking about stories, stories are, before language was born, stories were born. It's as old as that.
So I think we are going back to the same tradition of listening. Now, or there are audio books,
Correct.
so in a way, that's what...
But
we are
again,
going back
here, the listening is you have already recorded. So that is like book only. Isn't it? You have already recorded it. So,
to. There's an answer for everything.
no, there are advantages and disadvantages. There are multiple versions of Ramayana. One of them is in the tribals in Nilgiris. Their Ramayana in Wayanad district, Wayanad is now quite famous because obvious reasons we know that, political reasons and all. But in Wayanad, there are tribals who had their own Ramayanas. 100 years back, people started writing it down, so it stopped evolving. But it's so funny sometimes, not funny, for them it's not funny. There everything happened there. So it was evolving even when the Britishers had come. So Ravan is talking to Sita in the oral songs that I have so much tea estate and coffee estates.
Ooh.
So it's like suddenly jars, what? They are not even bothered about it. No, for them it's a rich man, so I have so many things. It's Varna Lanka. How do a oral tradition express it to the people who know? Say 200 years back when the tea estate had come, they are seeing the richest man is the guy owning the tea estate.
Yeah.
So in the songs it got, so it kept on changing. The moment is written down, that has stopped there. So even now Ravan is not able to have cars and other things because
You
it's
just
stuck
might
at.
write that also. We are hoping you will do that. You've started, you changed the tradition. You got, mythology started being written in different ways by you.
It was
So
always.
maybe
It
you will
was.
do
It
that.
was. It was always.
You know, while we are on that topic and we're talking about these different books, I think what would be interesting for all of us would be, I want you to pick top 5 books that you would suggest for us to read where there are these alternate mythologies. You know, what are the top 5 books you would say? We all know only like 1 or 2 languages. Maybe there are others.
No, no.
you know,
All
but
of them
I
are.
don't.
Most of them.
So-
What I am saying is there in English
So
translations.
could you
are
give us
available.
5 top books of
I will say first start with Basa's Urubanga and this thing. It's available. I think Kale had translated it. Start with that, the oldest one. Then of course Mrityunjaya of the Karna, which many would have read. His own Duryodhana's version also is there, but I think translation I am not finding it. English translation I am not finding it. Then the second turn, that is Rendamuram of M.T. Vasudevan Nair, where Bhima is the character. It's that won the Jnanpith Award in 1983 I think.
Okay.
That's a one. Pratibha Rai's book, Chitra Banerjee's book, Pratibha Rai's book is there. Then this translation might be rarer to get, but Gada Yuddha is there from Kannada. It's a 15th century or 16th century version.
Okay.
Internet is available. That again is very sympathetic to Duryodhana.
Okay.
Other books mostly you can Google and see. What you cannot find is what I am saying.
Yeah, that's what we want from you.
So, as I said, no, these 4 5 you start with that.
I think we could start with this. It's a good start.
Good start, and one thing you'll have to take care, it will not be written like how these are all fast-paced books because we are writing for this. You need a lot of patience too. This was written for in a time where time was plenty and people had enough time and.
But it still won't take us 4 days to, a play that goes on for 4 days is still, those people are going to say that, oh, this is so fast. You finished the book in 2 days. So it's, time is relative in that sense and moves differently for different people. But I love the suggestions. I think now we could take a little break and kind of, let me throw it open and ask our audience, is there anything that you would like to ask him about from what you've heard from here?
Vijay, hello. You have to introduce your pseudonym and then your question.
Hi, I'm Joy.
Hi, Joy.
I am Anand.
Joy.
And I have a question for you. I work in a school where I keep twisting these stories for children as a theatre teacher. And I want to know if there's any book on conversation between Sita and Supranakha.
My book is there. Valmiki's Women, my book, if you try, what I have done is, one is Surpanaka meeting Sita. It's a 5 short stories in that.
Okay.
Some are not very short. It's a book, like 250-page book. I think
Yeah.
copy is there.
Sure.
Another one is Tadaka. Another one is Mantara and Kaigeyi.
Okay.
So I have gone with all these characters which are usually not talked
Right.
about. So these are and another one is Shanta.
Shanta.
That is Ram's elder sister. Ram had a
Wow.
sister
Thank you so
who was
much.
given
I think
away.
That is a lot of knowledge.
So this book you can try easy read. 5 short stories in English.
Also, you have done a lot of research orally and listening and traveling. But there's also a course in Mumbai University which is MA in mythology.
I know, yeah.
Right? So,
Do you do any guest lectures there?
I used to go earlier. When I was not living in Mumbai, they used to call me because the farther the distance, the bigger the expert you are. The moment I moved to Mumbai, they have stopped calling me. I don't know why. Otherwise, I used to travel all the way to give lecture there.
yeah, okay. So I just wanted to ask you that do you do lectures there? Sonali asked it for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, one thing, ma'am, you can check, as I said, no, many other things are also coming. In Audible, many Ramayanas, many lessons is there, both in English and Hindi. It's a 16-hour lecture, dramatized. I have not talked. Somebody else have read out what I have written in a dramatic fashion. So it introduces almost most of the Ramayanas which I. So what I have done is I'll just take an incident and say that in Thai Ramayana it is like this, in Odia Ramayana it is like this, in Assamese it is like this, in Malayalam it is like this. The version, it's different. So that is a 16-hour of this thing covering the entire Ramayana on that.
You know, you just said that you're a teacher and your name today is Joy over here. What I would like to ask you, Joy, is that if you were a mythological character, which would be your favorite character?
Draupadi.
Why?
Because I want to see how to juggle between 5 men. And while maybe loving Karan and having Krishna as best friend. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Does anyone else want to answer that question? What was the question, Sonali? Do you want to repeat the question?
The question was that if you were a mythological character, which one would you be?
Who wants to answer this? You raise your hand. No?
Nobody else?
Sita from Chitra Banerjee's book.
But tell me your name.
Mrs. Awesome.
Mrs. Gossip.
Yeah.
Nice name. Yeah. So, but you're picking up the character of Sita and particularly from Chitra Banerjee's book.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think? I
Many
know what you're
Draupadi
going to
fans
think.
will lynch me, but I always hold Sita as far superior character. And I find Draupadi a weak woman among all the mythological women characters. Very controversial statement to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find Sita the strongest, not Tulasidas Sita, Valmiki Sita. There's a fine difference. Fine, big difference actually. Not Tulasidas ji Sita.
Okay, which Sita did you say you like most?
I think she's charged up. I called Draupadi.
No, I'm not at all. I'm fine with it. But which one do you think is the most strong Sita?
I will
That's the
tell
word
you
that
why Valmiki Sita or Vyasa's Shakuntala are very strong women. Or Vyasa's Damayanti or Valmiki's Tara. These are all very strong women compared to one of the weakest characterization is that of Draupadi in any literature perhaps. I will tell you the difference between Sita and Draupadi. 5 minutes. We have time? Okay.
Absolutely, especially when we are discussing.
Sita is, Valmiki Sita is all about choice. Tulasidas ji wrote it in an era of subjugation. So Ramayana changed a lot. Kambar Sita is not Tulasidas Sita. Is not Eruthachan Sita. Sita differs from Ramayana to Ramayana. The version which we have, the Ramanand Sagar ji's Sita, the docile, whatever husband says, I will obey Sita, is Tulasidas ji's Sita, which was written during a particular era of history. Nothing wrong with that. Every version is right. But when Valmiki wrote, he wrote from in an era where women were much more powerful.
They were more empowered.
Empowered. So Valmiki Sita, if you compare, she is the one of choices. Ramayana is driven by Sita's choice.
Okay.
I will start from the beginning quickly. It is a whole day's topic, but quickly I will try to tell. She was born an orphan. Versions will be like Ravan's, this thing, Lakshmi's, hundreds of versions out there. The fact is, crux is she was born an orphan. There are 4 kingdoms in Ramayana which have different values. One is Ayodhya, one is Janaga's Mithila, one is Kishkinda, one is Lanka. Janaga's Mithila is the only place, see the contrast how Valmiki played, where in Dasharatha gives away his daughter in exchange for sons. Shanta is given so that Rishyasringa will come and do the Putrakameshti and he will get sons. So Shanta is given away. Whereas Janaka or his brother They get the orphan child or they have women, there is not a single word about I want a son. He's also a king.
Yeah.
She comes from such a family. I tried to explore a bit of it in Siyakeram, which I wrote, but television is television.
Yeah.
So, what happens is, after that, she chooses, she is given a choice in Valmiki Ramayana. It is not how it is shown like everybody comes for a competition and lifts it up. And it's broken. It goes on. Many people have failed. It is still there. The bow of Shaiva Chapa is still there. And when Rama tries to lift it, it breaks. It is not an event like what we see in the television. And she chooses. In Kamba Ramayana, they fall in love and then she chooses.
Okay.
They meet before marriage. So, multiple versions are there. After that, coming back, Lord Rama is asked to go to the forest. It is Sita's choice to go to the forest. Why? Many people ask me why you don't write about Urmila. I say Urmila is a very weak character. I won't write about weak women or weak men. All my characters, whoever I have taken, are very strong characters, like Damayanti in this, or Tara in my Vanara. Lakshman says to Urmila, stay at home. She says, okay. Where is the character in that? Sita ensures that she goes. She ensures that she gives multiple. One of the arguments which Sita gives is that in every Ramayana, Sita has gone with Ram. Why not in this Ramayana? It's a very deep statement.
Yeah.
It's a clincher argument of Sita. Every Ramayana before this, because Ramayana it keeps on happening. So the first Ramayana, what do you think is perhaps a millionth Ramayana? So every Ramayana before this, Sita has gone with Ram. Why not? She goes with that. Her choice. In the forest, Lakshman Rekha is not there in Valmiki Ramayana, but other many versions have that. But they say, tell her, don't go out. She comes out because for her, feeding a hungry man is a bigger dharma than obeying her husband or the men in the home. It's her choice. Again.
Yeah.
She is captured and taken there. Hanuman comes there. Hanuman says, I will take you back.
Correct.
She says, Ram will have to come and do it because it is his
Reputation.
reputation will be questioned. I will not come. She refuses to move with Ravan. She is strong enough to hold her. You can say some good things about Ravan. You can talk, it's a curse and all those things. But the crux of it is that she knows where to draw the line. It's powerful than Lakshman's line or Ravan is not able to approach. She stays outside. Yeah. She knows where to keep the man. And after that, the first Agni Pariksha, it is her choice in Valmiki Ramayana. Ram doesn't ask. Ram tells, I have freed you, now you are free to go wherever you want and marry whoever you want. It's very cruel words he says.
Yeah.
And it is Sita's choice to do the Agni Pariksha and come back. Her choice. Then when Ram abandons her in the forest, she is not someone who is going to cry or she will cry emotional. There is emotion is there. She is not someone who is going to be defeated. She brings up her kid, teaches them all the archery, and the army of Ram who had defeated the entire Ravan's army, these two kids defeat them. What could be a bigger, sweeter, truer statement and revenge? It's the first single mother, if you ask me.
Yeah.
She brings it out, and then when Ram asks for, this time Ram asks for Agni Pariksha, she refuses. Because her dignity is questioned here. She goes back. This is one of the strongest characterization. We consider Sita as weak. Now consider this with Draupadi. She is born for a purpose of what? For revenge. She has no agency in that. Her father brings her from the fire. When Kunti says share with her, she says, okay, I will share with her. It may be fun for her, that's a great thing. But imagine it, she doesn't have a voice. How much weak a woman you have to be to say that Imagine any of you, I'm asking this question, any women in this, they come home and the mother-in-law says, even mother-in-law says something very trivial also, people may rebel. Imagine that, let you be shared with everyone in the village or in the family. How will you react? She is not able to even react to that. She says, yes, I'll do that. And then when she is brought to this place and stripped, what is her reaction? In original Mahabharata, Krishna is not there, but we can take other versions also. She is a helpless woman. Her husband pawns her. A woman like Sita, when he asks for Agnivarisha second time, she goes away irrespective of he is Ram. And these 5 clowns who are pawned, from Draupadi's point of view I am telling, she only screams and shouts and then goes away with them. Right? There is no agency again there. And she wants, it's like a television series heroine. It's all screaming and shouting. I will have theatrics. I will have blood of Dushasan on my this thing. I will do this. Somebody else will have to do. She will not do anything. That's her revenge. And after that, and she loves somebody that is not there in Vyasa Mahabharata. Other versions is there. And after that, after all those things, finally, what does her revenge entail? Everybody is dead, including her sons.
Yeah.
Everyone is dead. See what is Sita's, how Sita plays it back, how Shakuntala plays it back, how Tara plays it back, how Damayanti plays it back. And we find that the weakest women in characterization is Draupadi. So, we have temples. Traditionally, we have temples for Sita. Tara is considered as one of the wisest of all women. Damayanti, in ancient Sanskrit theatre, Tamil theatre and all, Damayanti, Nala Damayanti is one of the most famous stories because there is a reason for that. Draupadi became so famous only during our freedom struggle, where India was compared, Subramanya Bharati started it, India was compared to Draupadi and the Britishers to the Kauravas. So these metaphors were used and then Draupadi became, traditionally Draupadi was never considered as a strong character. And second thing happened, because of the influence of television and Tulsidas Ramayana spreading to other parts of the country, Sita's characterization went to a change of a very docile character. So there was a flip. That is why I keep saying, sorry for all Draupadi fans, why I won't write about Draupadi, because I find all other characters very fascinating. Like Damayanti, like Tara, like Kunti, Gantari, everybody has some agency. The only one who doesn't have anything, perhaps is Draupadi, except that she is a fan of Krishna.
You know, while we're talking about these characters and we have the book right here in front of us, what is it about Damayanti that is so special for you?
Okay.
That one thing. I mean, there will be many things and we will read the book and we don't want you to give that away to us. Because see, the Asur and all, when we talk, we've read them. So I don't mind discussing it. But this we want to read. But what is that one thing which was like, I need to write this woman's story? What was that?
Damayanti is a very life-affirming story.
Okay.
In the sense that, traditionally Nala Damayanti, how I twisted it in this also. Not twisted, this is like looking at, when you see it from Nala, it's a very sad tale. When you look from Damayanti's point of view, it's a elevating tale actually. So I told this from Damayanti's point of view. Damayanti chooses to marry a Nishada. There are 2 versions. He was not a tribal, Nishad is another community, all those scholars are arguing. But generally, he is considered as a Nishad of a tribal community, a tribal king. She chooses over everyone else. Then, the god of misfortune, Kali comes to teach a lesson in the sense that he wants this Nala and Damayanti's love affair to fail. Why? Because the premise is that humans are selfish. There is nothing called selfless love. So Brahma wants to wipe off the world. Okay. So the Hemanga, the swan, who is very compassionate, he says that at least there will be one couple, at least there will be one woman whose love will withstand the loss of power, because this is a very misogynist view which they say that woman love for the man has to be handsome, the man has to be powerful, the man should have status, man should be loving towards you, caring towards you. There are 100 demands. There can be a love without all these things, and that can save Nala, who is actually, if you really think, there is nothing much redeeming about him except that he's a good man and he's a good cook. He's a good cook. Nala is considered as Nalabachak. Nala is considered as the greatest cook. But what Kali does is, Kali takes away his kingdom, but Nala is much more noble than Yudhishthir. Nala refuses to, Nala Damayanti comes in Mahabharata's Vanaparva, where Yudhishthira is told the tale of a king who gambles away everything like him. But with a twist. Nala refuses to gamble. Damayanti saying that I don't own my wife. She is far, far ahead than what we imagine somebody. I don't own my wife, so everything else I will gamble, but not. She's a separate individual. Comes in Mahabharata. Could have been written today. Could have been written 100 years hence. These are the things which I tried to pick up. This is the only difference between Yudhishthira and him. And then his kingdom is gone. Then the Kali, he is stripped even of his dress, everything. He has a loincloth, which Damayanti gives. His brother takes away even that. And his money is gone, status is gone. So Damayanti is already blamed for choosing a tribal king over Indra, over Agni, over Yama, over gods and all have come, and she chooses this man. And he loses everything. He's taken away everything. And he has a complex saying that I am not good enough for her. I lost everything. So he runs away. And on the way, because of his compassion, he tries to save a snake. And snake is Kali. Kali bites him and he becomes a dwarf, an ugly dwarf. So his looks are gone. His money is gone, kingdom is gone, status is gone, nothing is there. And this woman redeems him, goes back and redeems him, and brings him back and allows him to win back everything he has lost. So I feel this is one of the greatest love stories ever told to man, and that's why I thought I will write it. This is not a topic which will sell like hotcakes, like if I write about Duryodhana or anything. But I thought I should write this story. You are not just writing it for commercial success. So I thought I will write this story where, why Damayanti? Because for me, traditionally every artist, like this kind of Kathakali artist and all say, who's the best character? They'll say Tara, Mandodari. Rarely they will say Panchali. They'll say Sita. They will say Damayanti. So they will even say Shurpanaka and Tadaka and Mantara and Kaikeyi. These are all the traditionally strong characters. Very rarely they say Draupadi. So I am exploring, like Vanara I explored Tara, in Tara style. So and the other Shurpanaka and all I don't have big, so I explored it in my book. Shurpanaka, Tadaka, Mantara, Kaikeyi and all. Damayanti, that's why I went on and I picked it up, and that's why I thought I should write about this woman. It's very important. It's a postmodern story. It is not a 5,000, 6,000 year old story. It's a story of today.
Yeah.
I wish it will become a film, to be very frank. These are the films, not just war films. These are the films which we should show.
And show the culture.
Show the culture.
And the civilization we come from.
So Shakuntala of Kalidasa is a very weak woman. Shakuntala of Vyasa is a far, far ahead. That's why Vyasa becomes such a great, or Valmiki becomes such a great, because Kalidasa has put a lot of things in Shakuntala. It's a beautiful poetry. He escaped because of his excellent command over language and the beauty of poetry. But as a plot, it is nowhere near, or characterization, nowhere near Vyasa. So if you allow me, I'll tell just the difference of it.
I was, in fact, my question to you, next question was going to be about the complexities that you bring in your characters. Make them human, because a lot of times these are the stories that you hear and you kind of start making them godlike, perfect, but you bring those complexities in, and what you're talking about is exactly that. So please go ahead and tell us more about it.
See, Kalidasa was a court poet. A court poet is who? He gets paid pleasing the king. So the king he was working under, the king claimed lineage from the same dynasty of Dushyanta. No, you won't go and tell your boss that your great-grandfather was a AH. If you have sense, you won't do it. Because your pay is depend on that.
Yeah.
Vyasa is somebody, is a rishi. I have great respect for Kalidasa. He's such a brilliant writer. But as a plot device, I am telling. Why when you are writing for television and when you are writing for book, I write for both. Or when I am writing for film and I write for this. Book I write for myself. Vyasa wrote for himself.
Book is written by the Rishi Anand. And the television thing is written for the boss.
Kalidasa.
Yeah.
Because it's written for money. So Kalidas introduces many things which is not in Vyasa Shakuntala. So Vyasa Shakuntala is like this. Shakuntala is there. An orphan again, because mother goes away, and Vishwamitra, she's an orphan. Dushyanta comes, seduces his girl, makes her pregnant. Vyasa is very simple. Goes back. Shakuntala and her foster father go there and say that please marry her. He refuses, says that why should I marry you? You are just a woman of ashram, why should I care? Get lost. She comes back, she refuses to go back. She brings up the son, Bharata. Later, when Dushyant doesn't have any sons, he's not getting any son, that is a time when he goes in search and finds that this Bharat is playing with a lion and other things, and he's a big warrior and other things, and then he brings Bharat
then
back.
That he wants
And Shakuntala refuses to go. Again, much more stronger characters. Shakuntala refuses to go. In Kalidas, what all he did, no? In his beautiful, beautiful poetry, beautiful poetic language, what he did was, he brought Durvasa, just like that. Imagine writing this for a plot and you are going to act in it. If I write it like this, you will throw it on my face and ask me to go and take some other job. Shakuntala is sitting and thinking about Dushyanta. Durvasa comes and Shakuntala doesn't respect him because she is thinking. Immediately Durvasa is cursed. If I am Durvasa, what will I curse? Let you forget who or you are thinking, right? What sort of an idiot I should be to curse? Let the man who you are thinking about forget you. Because it's a plot device, no? You'll have to bring it, you have to link it. Because he'll have to give an excuse to the king's great grandfather that he was a nice guy just because Durvasa was very short-tempered. He was punished.
Yeah.
And now, Shakuntala says, why are you doing this? Please, please. So immediately Durvasa says, okay, Shav Moksha. He has given you a token, the Mudra. He has given it. You show it immediately, his short-term memory loss will go and memory will come back. Second plot. Now they are going with, she says to father, let us go. So father asks, what will you do if you go? She says, I have this.
The ring.
This is there and there is not a problem. They go on a boat. And then she is doing, in the water, she is doing it like this, very dramatically. And exactly this loosens. See how much coincidences. And a fish.
This is what we would call most convenient storytelling.
Convenient storytelling.
Screenplay, the worst screenplay possible.
So it takes. And he goes there, he doesn't know because of the curse and she doesn't have this token. So she comes back, crying back, what to do and all those things. And then a fisherman catches it. Exactly this fish. There will be millions of fish in the Ganga. But exactly this fish is caught. Then it is cut open. Then this is caught. Then it is taken there. Then he remembers suddenly. Then it is all so much convenience of plot to bring together all these things.
Wow, I didn't know. So in Vyasas, it was so much more simpler. It was all about
Simpler
the
and
relationship.
human. It's a complex relationship.
Yeah,
The king, how he
absolutely.
behaves. It's much more complex and much more modern storytelling if you really see.
Yeah.
So that is why when we do Shakuntalam nowadays, exactly like that, without Kalidasa's poetry, it will fail. As a commercial venture, it will fail.
Amazing, amazing.
Because nobody can digest this, no? How will you digest this plot?
True.
He got away because of his, otherwise it should be a Kalidasa to write a script like that and get away with it. That is his genius.
But we are not reading that much anymore, it looks like. So the language would, however beautifully written, we wouldn't fall for that. So, but in today's shorter stories also, you can, Vyasa's Shakuntalam, you can still narrate it in those
And
100
get banned.
words. No, in 100 words you can
Yeah,
still. See,
you
that's
can do
what,
that.
what I'm
That's
getting
a-
at is that storytelling is that. I remember Suraji, Rajshri Films, he had said that, the film that works is the film that I can narrate in 3 lines or 4 lines max. If I can, and if you get the story in that, then that is the story that's going to work. And that's an interesting point of view. So, yeah.
Because film is a short form of storytelling.
Yeah,
That's
a
why
little
it
bit
is.
of trivia while we were.
It's only
at
2
it.
hours, no? Hardly 50 scenes, 52 scenes. So that much only you can do that.
Well, I think we should throw things
Yeah,
open again. To any more questions for him from this lot? Is there anything interesting you want to ask?
Hello. You've already introduced yourself.
Yeah. So my question was, you mentioned, so there were 2 questions I have.
Mrs. Gossip has
Recently-
2 questions for us.
And
Doesn't it take a mental
it takes
toll?
writing like any art. Ask her, acting, how much toll it takes. Any art takes toll.
And how do
That's
you,
the joy of it.
That's the joy of it.
how do you handle that?
It's joyful, so you look forward to it.
You do it, see, I will say writing or any art, frankly, is tough. There is no way to make a living, if you really ask me. You lose out a lot of things, but you do it just because you love to do it, that's all. A corporate job is far easier if you are, because I come from there, far easier. You can curse somebody, here you have only to blame, it goes back. No? You can keep cursing your bosses, he's the one, she is the one, he is the one who has made my life miserable. So many lightning happen, why don't it happen on his head? You can think all these things. In writing, you cannot do all, writing or acting or any art for that matter. That takes a toll. That's a price you pay. But the reward is, frankly, you may or may not get it, but the reward is immortality. Reward is immortality. Who knows? We don't know who was the king of Kalidasa. People say Vikramaditya. Which Vikramaditya? We don't know. You don't know. You remember so many writers. How many kings we remember about? Unless they have been especially violent and did unspeakable things, then only you remember about the kings. The average kings you don't remember. Even average writers you remember.
One more question, the last one.
But that's like you've had
Okay.
3 questions. We're not being fair to others.
Last one,
Okay.
last one. Don't you feel little cringy when your movies or, you said script writing doesn't justify what you want to write? Actually, it is 800,000 pages long story that you want to convey, but the producers don't, allow you to...
No, I love my producers because I make the living out of it. When the money, the check or online payment comes, all those things get wiped off.
No, but I would say that would be a different form of telling a story. So a lot of things that would go in description that in a film would be the way it is shot, the way the camera would move, the way it is lit, the color palette. All those things are also speaking and thought of. In a
Film
good
is a
film.
much more tougher art.
So, all that description that would make those many pages would be just a pan of a camera sometimes, So, it's a different way of looking at it. That's how I would.
Exactly.
We have a question here. Who wants to-
First of all, congratulations, Anand sir. I just have one simple question. I am a Christian by religion, but I have always been fascinated by this Hindu mythology. So, as a complete stranger, as a complete beginner, so which mythological book do you recommend for a complete beginner? And one question for ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, first of all, I don't want to rake up this topic, but first of all, I would like to congratulate you for having overcome, you defeated cancer.
Thank you.
I have gone through your past experiences, and I have seen you. I have seen you overcome. Now, as I look at you, you feel rejuvenated. You feel youthful again. And I would like to congratulate for you that. And
Thank
my
you.
question is, ma'am, do you think that it's better for parents to decide their children's career choice or to keep the decision for their children? And I have seen that your son, Ranveer, has grown up. He has grown so tall now. So what is your opinion about this? Do you think that parents should decide their children's career or should keep it to their children? That's my question, ma'am.
Interesting question, though it will take us out of the mood that we are in right now. So, if you don't mind, let's continue with what Anand has to say, because that's something everybody is with. And I'll sit with you, and before we leave, we will have a conversation on that. But thank you so much.
He did have a question for Anand though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will say, if you're a beginner, start with Amar Chitragatha.
Oh my God, I love them.
For 13,000 or 14,000 rupees, you get the entire collection of it. It's worth having. 14,000 rupees something. When I bought it was 13 or 12. Get that because it's very precise. Start with that. Some errors are there, but don't mind. You are not going to do a research on it, right? It's just for an introduction. Lot of errors are there, but that you don't mind. It gives you the crux of it. Easy to do. Then you can slowly graduate to other things. If you try to read the original, no, like they say, like A.K. Ramanujan keeps saying, no one in India has read the Mahabharata except a few people, handful of people. But everybody knows it. Yeah. Mahabharata, you try to read, it is a labyrinth. You don't know where it is going. But all of us know the story because it's oral, which is being told.
Question? Sorry.
नमस्ते सर, आपने जैसा कहा कि मैं बहुत सारी लैंग्वेजेस जानता हूँ, तो मैंने सोचा मैं हिंदी में आपसे पूछ लूँ क्वेश्चन आपसे। मतलब आपने सारे कैरेक्टर्स में ऑलमोस्ट लिखा है, तो भीष्म पितामह के लिए आप क्या सोचते हैं? उनके तरफ से आप कुछ लिखना चाहेंगे?
नहीं, मेरा अजय में है भीष्म पितामह का।
जी, मैंने पढ़ी है अजय, लेकिन मैं चाह रही हूँ पूरा कैरेक्टर जैसे एक कर्ण का या द्रौपदी का है, वैसे भीष्म पिता अपने आप में एक, मतलब क्योंकि हर आदमी अलग अलग व्यूज़ सोचता है कि अगर मैं होता तो मैं राजगद्दी में बैठ जाता, मैं हो सकता है कि मैं ऐसा त्यागता तो अपने आप को कांटों से झेलना नहीं पड़ता, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं। तो आपका व्यू क्या रहेगा? मैं चाहूँगी कि आप इस पे लिखें ज़रूर।
मुझे क्या है ना, भीष्म पितामह, आई एम नॉट सीइंग मच कलर इन हिम, मोनोक्रोमैटिक है वो। ही केम देयर, ही इट वाज हिज, देयर इज नो लेयरिंग लाइक व्हाट आई कैन फाइंड इन एन अश्वत्थामा या कर्णा या दुर्योधन और युधिष्ठिर फॉर दैट। आई मे राइट ऑन युधिष्ठिर। युधिष्ठिर इज अ वेरी, इट्स वेरी टफ टू बी युधिष्ठिर। युधिष्ठिर के बारे में वेरी बोरिंग कैरेक्टर, बट व्हाई इज सो, हाउ टू मेक हिम इंटरेस्टिंग, what made Yudhishthir? Bhishma, I may write.
You can make Bhishma Pitama interesting.
Bhishma, like again, like Draupadi kind of thing, no? For Bhishma, it's like he
loser,
took a
loser. वो
Sabha also. तो मुझे इतना कलर नहीं दिख रहा है।
नहीं, वही एंगल में चाहती हूँ कि हम लोगों ने जो देखता है वो उससे आप विपरीत लिखते हैं, तो कि अगर भीष्म पितामह आप उस जगह बैठे रहते तो क्या रिएक्ट करते?
तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं पे आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जिस तरह से उनका कैरेक्टर है भीष्म पितामह का, एंड आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट इट एज अ कैरेक्टर सो दैट वी आर नॉट हर्टिंग एनीबॉडीज सेंटिमेंट्स हियर दैट, लेकिन जिस तरह से उनका कैरेक्टर है, व्हाट यू वुड से इज कि इतना उन्होंने कभी एक अलग व्यू पॉइंट देखा ही नहीं या समझा ही नहीं, तो आप लिखेंगे क्या उसमें? क्योंकि इतना ब्लैक एंड वाइट है, और इन्होंने हमेशा कहा है कि उनको उनके कैरेक्टर्स ग्रे पसंद
है। जी, और आप क्या चाहेंगी महाभारत में, कौन सा कैरेक्टर आप चाहेंगी? ये मेरा थैंक यू।
नहीं, फॉर मी मैं यही कहूँगी कि मुझे लगता है कि हमारी ये जो कहानियाँ हैं ये इतनी रिच हैं और इतने लेयर्स हैं, और आप एक ह्यूमन बीइंग के कोई भी फीलिंग देखो, कोई भी मूड्स देखो, वो हमारी कहानियों में है। पुरानी हम कहते हैं, लेकिन आज के इसमें भी, एंड व्हेन एज अ पेरेंट व्हेन यू वर आस्किंग मी, मुझे कई बार पेरेंटिंग के टिप्स मुझे इन कहानियों से ही मिले हैं। मुझे सीख इन कहानियों से मिली है, क्योंकि आप इन कहानियों को आज भी अडेप्ट कर सकते हो, यूज़ कर सकते हो। किस तरह से? हम लोग कुछ चीज़ें ज़रूर बदल जाती हैं। 4 दिन के प्लेस होते थे, ओरल ट्रेडिशन होता था, बुक्स आ गए, बुक से हम अभी ट्वीट्स पे आ गए, शॉर्ट स्टोरीज़ पे आ गए। उधर से हम लोग ऑडिबल पे आ जाएंगे, जो भी है, मतलब चेंज होता रहेगा, लेकिन कुछ चीज़ें हमें आज भी वही कैरेक्टर्स अच्छे लगते हैं. देर आर सर्टन जिसमें कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज़ हो, वो कैरेक्टर्स हमको ज़्यादा अच्छे लगते हैं. या फिर सर्टन मॉरल्स हुए, वैल्यूज़ हुए, वो कितना भी बदल जाए, फैमिली वैल्यूज़ वो नहीं बदलते हैं, वो आज भी हम वही चाहते हैं कि हमारे बच्चों में वही वैल्यूज़ हो. सो दोज थिंग्स नेवर चेंज, एंड दैट आई थिंक इज़ वेयर आई टेक माई लेसन्स फ्रॉम. So for me, these are the things that are very amazing about the mythology and the stories from mythology. Actually, मैंने ये कभी नहीं सोचा था, because I think I'm so happy being myself.
One character I would love to do in Mahabharata, Skunti. So grey and complex.
Oh my God, yes.
A woman who can allow the 5 innocent people and 5 children and a Nishada woman to be burned so that her sons can be saved.
Wow.
So grey. And at the same time, a woman who can love her co-wives' sons
Children
also,
equally.
equally. Such a complex character. So letting go of Karna. So such a layered character. I like to play in this. If there is one character which I would love to explore who is not grey, but it is so fascinating, is Indrajit.
Tell me why. One reason, just quickly before we.
Indrajit is one. If you take the entire mythological world, Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything, who is the greatest warrior? It is Indrajit, not Ram, not Krishna. Later Bhagavatam and other things people say because he's God, he is bigger than that. But if you go by the original, this thing, Indrajit is the one who is the greatest warrior. And he has never, why is they are not able to kill him also? They find it so difficult to kill him is because unlike Ravan, he has not done anything wrong in his life. Such character, he is like a duty bound to his father, he is protecting it. So they have to kill him when he is doing his yajna. So Ram, a character against whom, another one was Bali, which I explored there, where the god himself will have to do a negative thing to get killed. He is a powerful character. So I thought I may perhaps explore. One book which I have already written, which will be coming, is Amba, Sigandi.
Ooh, nice.
So that will be coming soon.
That is interesting. My next question was that, what are you coming up with? And here is the answer, Amba. Nice.
Again, a fascinating character.
So looking forward to it. How
Thank you.
fascinating has this been? Have you guys enjoyed this? I think we all have many questions still. And I think what we could do is get a promise out of him that he needs to do this again with us.
I'll be happy to do it. It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, we
Thank
should
you, thank you.
definitely do this again. Thank you so much, Anand, and
Thank you,
all the
Sonali.
best. It's always, I mean, I always forget time when I'm chatting with you and I'm listening to this conversation. So, yeah. And before we end, Nala Damayanti, please get your copies and looking forward to reading this from you. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for making this so special.
We have time for like a few audience questions. So yes, okay, I know that. Okay, so we'll start with these 3 and then 3 questions there. I'm sorry, don't hate.
Hi, my name for today is Moha. It's not for today, like I have been coming here for so often now. Now I have kept my name as Moha.
Okay.
So my question is very simple. It's in my mind it's been playing. Mythology is a content which is in public domain. Okay, everybody knows about everything, but nobody knows about so many versions as today you told us. So when you write something with a twist, are you prepared for the trolls? And how do you handle them? How do you handle those objections to the twist which you have given?
Translation, why are you not getting beaten up or lynched? It's a very common question which I have been asked many, many times. I think we have the civilizational depth and tradition to handle diversity. we are actually trained with that. Maybe for political reasons and other things, people are trying to smoother it. But we are trained to, any Indian knows at least 2-3 languages minimum, at least 2-3 languages minimum of it. 4-5 languages is very common. In any other country it would have been different. We are, in our home itself, people will have their own personal gods. Many places. And we have been trained to handle this kind of diversity with so much languages and so many dresses. Okay, now the modern society is small diversion. Everybody is dressed alike. Everybody goes to the same kind of malls. Every mall in the world looks alike. Every shop looks alike. Every kind of shopping is done alike. But India is one of the few places which is still holding on to its diversity. So I think that diversity is saving us. That people are still willing, unless a controversy is purposefully generated for any particular reason. Generally, I keep away from social media as much as possible except to post.
Do you have any special disclaimers? Like,
I say this is one version. That's not it. That's a truth. This is just one version among. I don't claim that this is authentic or anything like that.
Yes, okay. She's been raising her hand.
Yeah. Hi, this is Love here. Yeah. So my first question is, I completely agree when you say that, people read short stories, people who aren't into reading. If they ask me, what do we read? What I suggest is short stories because you can easily finish one and there's a sense of satisfaction. But I teach Shakespeare and I completely agree with you that there are 5 acts so we can see the development of the character, which doesn't happen in short stories. The character starts and it ends. Second thing, what I'm looking at is there are a lot of children who know a lot about the Greek mythology. If there could be a comparison between the two, a book comes out where we are looking at people from the Indian mythology, comparing them to the Greek, and see if they are relatable, their similarities and that. Could we do something like that?
We can do, but for me, I am yet to come out of the fascination of our Puranas because ours is a living culture. Whether it is Norse mythology or Greek, they are all dead and gone of a dead civilization. Ours is a living culture and it is still evolving. And there is so much depth to explore here, which I cannot do with many of these Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology. Of course, there are some fascinating stories, no doubt about that. But for me, where will I find a Ravan? Where will I find a Duryodhan? Where will you find an Ashwatthama, a Ram? Where will you find a God coming down and going through all the trials and travails of a common human being? So that humanization thing, a Greek mythology equivalent, ma'am, is some of the folklores of India and not the Puranas. Puranas are much more deeper. So there are like Veergathas of folklores in India a lot. That is comparable to many of these mythologies of many of the dead and gone civilizations, with all due humility. This is much more deeper, not because I am an Indian. Actually, Greek and Greek wisdom is something which was recreated after the Europeans started dominating the world. Otherwise, these were like, if you call me, these were Panchayat civilization. They were just city-states compared to the grand old civilization of India, China and Persia, which were the grand, huge civilizations, especially India because of the population. Huge civilization. When the Europeans started dominating, on retrospective effect, they started making all the wisdom came from Greek, all the wisdom came from Rome. So any book, English book you read, immediately you find that everything is referred to them, this, that and all. But imagine you are living in 3rd century BC, you would not, unless you are living in a port town like Muziris down south or Pumpuhar, which had trade across the world. You are living in Gangetic Plain, you are living in Patliputra, you would not have even heard about who these Greeks are until the Alexander came and they were considered like Mlechas, some barbarians coming in. For Chinese and Indians and Persians would have known each other. This is like a backwater at that time. on retrospective effect, they became big. So for me, of course, it's as a scholarly thing and other things, comparison, we can do that. But I would suggest we should introduce more of Indian. It is a very cool thing. I keep telling, last time I was visiting bookstores in Delhi, all the bookstores are kept the children. I am into children's writing also now, to introduce this to the children, because not many books are there. And I have made it very fun, like Asura Tales, Flying Mountains. I come up with those. But the bookstores also keep all mediocre book coming from a foreign sounding name, which would not even get published here, to be frank. They're getting prominence there who are not even heard about them. Europe also they have not heard. Just because a Gora is writing it, a white man is writing it, the bookstores keep it, and especially in the cities, the parents go and buy and give it to them. And you lose. I am now really scared. A 7,000-year-old civilization may end fighting a mediocre war with Marvel films and other things. Because as producers also, of course, the film which I am doing is a 600 crore film. Hopefully it may change something. Bahubali was another attempt to do that, to take it global. A lot of films are, Ponniyin Selvan was another one. At least in the south, more are being attempted, this kind of films. Here Bollywood also is doing a lot. This one which I am doing is in Bollywood only. Hopefully this may change. But I have done the last Jaipur Lit Fest also. When I went there, a lot of people were there. I predicted and I challenged that in 10 years, Indian stories will be dominating the world. Because for thousands of years we have done it. Irrespective of that, nothing to do with the religion. Like if Indonesia, it's an Islamic country where they are still celebrate this. A Buddhist country can celebrate this. A Philippines, a Catholic country can celebrate this. It can be celebrated across the world. Only thing is that the producers here will have to come out of the same kind of stories what they are telling. And Bahubali, I was just a part of the team. But imagine it, somebody going and telling the producer that I am going to tell a Raja Rani story, give me 500 crores. It's like as mad as writing Asura, isn't it? 500 crores at that time when Rajamouli was doing it. So we need people of conviction to come and invest and do it and tell it the way we want. Why Bahubali was a success? Why see the difference between Ponniyin Selvan and other films? Maniratnam refuses to compromise. Rajamouli refuses to compromise. It is rooted in that culture. He is not thinking whether people in Assam can pronounce Kattappa. He is not worrying people in Punjab can pronounce it. So when a story from Punjab comes, it should be rooted in Punjab. When a story from Kerala comes, it should be rooted in Kerala. Then you can, Vetrimar and the Ace director in the south, he told this very clearly, if the more local the story is, the more global it will go.
That's true.
Instead of trying to imitate and make another Marvel, no, we should tell Hanuman the way it is written. Nothing is the first superhero, no. Tell Hanuman with all the visual grandeur. There are so many stories in India which you should say that we will take over the world. I may do it, someone else may do it, I may not be the person, doesn't matter. Individuals are not that important. 10 years this is going to happen. So much is happening in this thing.
Sorry, if I may just ask a question. I don't want to miss out my question because I know that. We'll take two more questions, but one question that I wanted to ask you, Anand. So I think you mentioned a little bit about how sort of literature changed pre and post colonization. And I think one of the things that I've heard you talk about is writing characters that possess the divine feminine and masculine, and then also anyone that sort of transcends the gender binary, as these mythological characters have been. I just wanted to understand your views on, why it is also prominent in this day and age to be able to also write characters that can be a reflection to the society in a way that, a lot of, the characters that mythological creatures and, the larger than life characters that we write about still sort of fall under the gender binary of man and woman, where else what we've seen with gods and goddesses that sometimes they possess both in one, and that's something that we don't see being written about a lot, and those characters aren't being talked about. So if you could just shed a little bit light on that.
Amba is one character which I had told about. See, this is again the morality, what we call now the Indian culture as morality, as we understand. It's a very Victorian era morality which the Victorians have thrown out. and we are still holding on to it. It has nothing to do with the Indian culture. So here it was not only in India, most of the ancient civilizations, including the Islamic one, was fluid about this gender identity actually. The eunuchs and other people who they call, that name itself I am using, I may be politically incorrect, I am talking in a historical context, used to have a huge position in the society at that time. Until the Mughal Empire and other empires entered. And it is a Victorian era morality which changed many things. Even the deposition of Sita, of Tulsidas ji, has a lot to do with the Islamic conquest. That's why the other Sitas didn't change. In other languages where this conquest was not there, the morality changed, the dress code changed. So you go and see the ancient sculptures. Both male and female don't wear upper clothes. Isn't it? They don't wear upper clothes. See all the ancient sculptures across the country. Now, somebody wears a short skirt, they are destroying Indian culture is what we are talking about. So the fluidity, Ayyappa is a perhaps after Tirupati, that is the biggest temple in the country by the number of people visiting. Ayyappa is son of Shiva and Vishnu. Lord Ayyappa, where almost 15 crore people come in a year, 10 to 15 crore people come in a year, the entire southern Maharashtra downwards, slowly it is catching up to other places. It's a fluid identity. The Ardhanarishwara concept is a fluid identity of Shiva and Parvati together. So all these things have been explored, and Amba is an attempt to that. So in me it is not a rebirth.
Thank you.
What I am doing it. So there is nothing to shy away. We have explored, as I said, as a literature, as a culture, as a civilization, we have explored all these angles because of the sheer length of the time of civilization which we transcended. Nothing unique about us except that we survived. There were a lot of great civilizations in the world. It's not that we are the only, everything we invented, atom bomb, I'm not the person to tell that. We survived, so there is something which helped us to survive. Whereas most of them went away.
I'm so sorry, we're running out of time, so we're going to take 2 more questions and then, okay, can we, I'm so sorry. Okay, you can just figure it out.
Sir, for Anand sir, I'm Babu Mushai. Sir, have you seen the film version of this earlier film version that Nal Damayanti came? And is it slightly tweaked in the book?
This is totally tweaked. This is from Damayanti's point of view.
Completely from Damayanti?
Completely from Damayanti point of view. I wanted to call it Damayanti, but publisher said nobody will know who is she.
Yeah.
You have to put Nala Damayanti itself. Otherwise, it is Damayanti's point of view. The story itself changes. And 2 things. This was my rebellion against technology. Yeah? So I don't know whether you read the letter which I gave it to you.
Yeah, I had.
I had written this book with hand instead of typing it out.
Yeah.
No, I do all. I do dictate, I do type, I have a very bad handwriting. So, but still
Here is the handwriting.
I scribble. So as such, you write less, my handwriting has become worse. But I thought I will write this in the old-fashioned way, and the story came out totally different. So the medium also is so this is very, a bit more humorous than an angry book like Asura. It's more humorous, more fun, because it reflects more of your personality perhaps. I'm not an angry person, I'm the last person to be angry. But when you type it out, somehow I get angry. So Asura, Ajay and all are very angry books. This is a very soft, this is a romantic comedy if you can call. It's with a lot of fun and humor. It's more lighter book, but I loved this compared to my other books because this is the only one. Every book is I wrote it immediately after the Bahubali book series. So Bahubali book series is very tense, intrigue, 1500 pages, 40 characters. Each scene ends with this thing, hook and all. This I wanted to be like an old grandma's tale with a lot of fun. So it's written totally differently.
This
Hello,
is the
sir.
summer read. One second. For her, please. She's been waiting for very long.
Thank you so much. Hello, sir. I am Geeky Senorita, And my question is, actually I finished reading your book, Valmiki's Women, last month, and I was mind blown. And especially because of that one chapter on Manthara. Because when I started reading it, I was like, why would someone write on this character? It's a pivotal character, but it's very insignificant. You've hardly read much about it. So my question to you is, what made you choose this character Manthara, and what was your research process when you were writing on her?
Manthara, see, anything what I write, I will have some imagination on that. Otherwise, it's just a translation, right? I draw from all these things. Manthara as a character fascinated me because why is she a villain and a servant? A servant is able to influence the entire thing. A servant goes and tells such a person like Kaikeyi, and she gets influenced like that. Such a powerful. Kaikeyi is one of the most powerful character in.
Yeah.
Then when I went back, I found that Manthara was the foster mother of Kaikeyi. That is why it's not a just random servant.
Correct.
And a poor woman, a hunchbacked, ugly looking woman, she would have a story to say. In a story where every woman is considered as beautiful and divine, here is one character. How she would have felt, how she would have lived. From the law, we rarely have people from the lower strata of society in the mythology. It's all about kings and all those things. Suddenly I find a character like this. So in Asura I had to create the Bhadra. Here I need not have a Bhadra. She is already there, the Manthara. Bhadra actually is a character in Ramayana, but he's very insignificant. I developed it. He was the charioteer of Ravan in actual Ramayana, and he is also, it's also the name of the washerman in some of the Ramayans. In some he's a spy who hears a washerman. In some he's a washerman himself. His name is Bhadra. So from there I developed the Asuras Bhadra. But here Manthara is then there itself. I wanted to write it from Manthara. So I wrote Shanta first and then I wrote Manthara actually. Because Shanta, nobody talks about her. She is the reason for Ram being born. She is the eldest. And what would have been her relationship with Kaikeyi, who comes from a matriarchal society? Because I come from an area where it was more or less most of the communities were matriarchal. So the queens used to, like in Manu Pillai's Ivory Throne, I don't know whether anybody has read it. It's one book I will recommend to read to see a different India, where the queens sit on that, like the Britishers. It's a historic book, it's not a fiction. So when the Britishers came, what they used to call Queen Asher, they used to call, she is sitting half naked with only the white dhoti. Upper part is, she's sitting on the throne. Her husband cannot sit, husband has to stand. Because she's a queen, right? Husband cannot, she's a Travancore's, one of the richest kingdoms perhaps in the world at that time, spice trade. She's an Amazonian kind of queen sitting. And 10, 15 Europeans are there, they are asking for pepper trade. She says, that man, you come to my bed today. Then I will decide whether to give you or not. This is a different India we are seeing, 17th century, 16th century India. We are talking about morality, and Britishers are shocked. A half-naked woman, so powerful, she's sitting and telling that you come, because she has the moment you think like that, if kings can have harems, why not the queens? So she had her own harems with men.
It's a human being and power, and how it is.
Human being and power.
It's got nothing to do with the gender.
From there, how the society changes during the British rule, how the what is right, what is wrong. So Kaikeyi, why I took that example, Kaikeyi comes from a society like that. So where do I draw? How I draw Kaikeyi from these kind of historical examples. In Bahubali also I use those kind of kingdoms. In the book, not in the film. Film is a small part. So there were kingdoms where there is something called Ali Mahabharata. Ali Mahabharata, I don't know, time is going, otherwise we keep on talking. Ali Mahabharata, anybody has heard about Ali's Mahabharata?
No.
It's a folk version in Tamil Nadu. Madurai is a city, not Mathura. Madurai in Tamil Nadu is a city. They say the belief is that this Madurai is a new Madurai. It is hardly 4,000 years old. There was an old Madurai which sunk in the Kumari Kandam. That's one of my next books which is coming.
I think they've been finding pillars and stuff also.
So there was a supercontinent up to Australia where the ancient So civilization flourished. Tamil civilization flourished. The proof for that in our Puranas is that the first Manu is a Pandyan prince or a Chera prince. Two versions are there. The Manu who takes the Malsyavadar, no? That Manu is originally either a Pandya prince or a Chera prince. Both versions are available. So this Tamil Puranas is before that time, before the Sanskrit Puranas. So there, this Madurai was a city which had empowered women. So during the Mahabharata time, Madurai as such is the Madurai Meenakshi is the powerful goddess. It's called the city of the goddess Meenakshi Parvati. So Ali became the queen of Madurai. And she decided that men are useless in the world except for making children. It's a very famous story in the south. So Mahabharata is narrated by oral thing. So she banned all men. She banned everyone in the. Actually, we got empowered. People from Kerala and all men got empowered after India won freedom. We got equality. So she banned men and all the soldiers, all the ministers. Everyone is a woman. She made it like that. She will choose which man to come for her. Every woman can choose only for making children. Nothing else. Man is useless, so they can't even enter the city. Arjuna hears about this. And Arjuna is so seductive to all women and he has so many lovers. He feels that if there is a powerful woman like this, I should bed her. So, don't put it in social media, I may get lynched, but this is actually a folk tale. So from here you can cut. Okay, this is only for the room. Krishna says, don't go there. Don't even think about it. She is not like Ali's kingdom is not like any other. They are not going to fall head on or heels seeing Arjuna, the great warrior. She is a much bigger warrior than you. So don't even think of going there. But Arjuna cannot sleep. He says, every woman I have slept with whenever I wanted, why can't this woman be? Krishna says, your funeral, I will take you there. If when you don't understand what I say, I will take you there. And he goes, Krishna, they go there as merchants. And with great difficulty, they get the permission. And then he reveals he is Arjuna. She says, get out of this place. Krishna or Arjuna, she doesn't care. Because she is considered as an avatar of goddess Parvati, as a queen of this thing. She doesn't care. Then Arjuna, what he does is, he spikes her drink.
Oh, it's going on since then.
And she actually, if you in modern parlance, it could be a date rape.
It is.
It is a date rape. It's not even date.
It's not even date.
Date. And after he has done the act, he's scared. What will happen when this woman wakes up? When he comes out, Krishna is gone. Krishna says, your karma bala. It's up to you. I have given you advice. Arjun is on the run. This woman wakes up, finds that this fellow has done this. She chases him. She chases him, defeats him, drags him, shaves his head. With a chain she drags and does a parade through the streets of Madurai. And then Arjuna says the first thing a man can say after this, I will marry you. So, you see, so she throws him out of the kingdom, saying that you have done what you have done according to how you have proved what I have been telling. Men are useless only for making babies. If I have a son, I will help you when you need it. Other than that, you don't even dare to step here. This son later goes to Mahabharata war. So Arjun gets defeated by this woman, and that is another story. This son goes to, in Ajay, I told about it a bit. This son is also a funny story, not a funny story. This is about many activists, which we have now. This son grows up in such a way that he is always sympathetic to the underdogs. He is the son of Arjun and Ali. So he becomes the greatest warrior because Ali trains him. Now once he goes to Mahabharata, Krishna says that this fellow has come, what is to be done? Because this person has a problem. He always supports the underdog and nobody can defeat him. It's a part of that Mahabharata because that is how Ali has trained him. Be always with the underdog. So he fights first with Pandavas, Kauravas lose. So he feels sad for Kauravas. He shifts side. He starts fighting on Kauravas side, Pandavas starts losing. So he feels sad for Pandavas. He jumps to Pandavas side. This keeps going on and on, the war never ends. Because one side or other will be an underdog. Finally, he is asked for a sacrifice and this thing is cut. So this person asks for a boon. He says that I never, in my kingdom, my mother has not agreed because I am the only man there. I never had a sex with any woman. I want to have once this thing, but he gives a strange request. I want to have it with you, Krishna. So Krishna comes as Mohini. These are all like subaltern tellings. That's why I said don't put it in social media. They're all the oral tales. Because there's something called context collapse in social media. They'll just quote it and say that somebody had sex with Krishna. I don't want to happen that. This is only for oral this thing. So switch off this. It's my request. His head was cut. He sees the he wants to see the Mahabharata war. So after this, his head is cut and he's put on a pole, and he sees the entire Mahabharata war. And when Karna is about to defeat Arjun, he gives Arjun is the underdog, even with no body. His head, if he speaks out, his head will also burst. That's what Krishna has said. After having sex, this thing he sacrificed. He tells to Karna, he tells to Arjuna that you have to hold the bow with the toe of your leg and then tie it. Otherwise you won't be able to tie it properly. And Karna is going to kill you. The moment he says that, his head bursts away and he becomes a bird, which is considered as a harbinger of death in the folk narration. It's a night owl kind of thing. But the specialty of this story is, even now in Tamil Nadu and the parts of South India, the transgenders meet because of this tale, his love with Krishna, to have a huge festival of Aravan. The LGBT and all these communities, traditional I am telling, not the modern one, they meet there. And this is how the society and the entire villages and whoever are there, thousands of them come. And this is a huge traditional celebration of this with his head. This is how the traditional, your question I am answering. So you have feminism to the core. You have about how a man should behave. Yeah, then you have the inclusion of transgenders. You have a sarcastic take on the people, activists who go on supporting only the underdogs without knowing it. You have a multi-layered subaltern. This is the version of folk Mahabharats which I am inspired from. This is one among thousands of it you encounter when you go to the villages and when you hear this kind of stories. I know I went long, but
a round of applause. We could be here all day listening to your stories. Honestly, it's so insightful, so entertaining. Thank you so much again, Anand, for doing this. Thank you so much, Sonali, for taking
I think
the
she
time.
had a question last.
Yes, we'll do that one last question.
I hope it is not a troublesome question and I didn't invite it.
Thank you so much for asking me, because so many questions were coming and they were dissolving while I was listening to the answers of other people. But since we are talking about writing, authors and books and all, and there's one question, very prominent question, which is coming to my mind right now. And since we are talking about anthologies and mythologies, so let me just introduce myself. I'm Srishti and I'm a short story writer. I'm a self-published writer. And I love anthologies and I love mythology. Is one thing I cannot stay away from. I just moved from Hyderabad to Mumbai and just settling down. When I got to know, I was like, I have to attend this event, come what may. So I want to know, like we have talked about different kind of writing styles, like you told that you research, writing it on laptop with hand and all. But I have heard that ancient times, the rishis and munis, they would write, they would get something downloaded, like they would sit for writing and it would come from somewhere. They did not have things through research. Like if you look out for Panini, then he wrote his book and we have many authors like Bill Colby, he had called Ganesha to write for him. So what will you say about that?
Once you write, that happens to all writers.
starts coming
That
out.
happens to all writers.
Is there a way that you practice something that connects you with the inner self and something that inspires you and takes you deeper?
This happens, ma'am, in any art. Any art, you're a dancer, you're an actor, you get into a zone. When you get into a zone, many a times I have found that I first write and then I go and research, it would have been there. Without knowing, you get it, including the character names. Including certain stories, like I am doing a show for, just as an example I'm telling, I am doing a show which I had written some time back. It got delayed due to COVID. But the people who read it at that time, they said this will not happen. It was about Taliban taking over Afghanistan. A show which was writing. At that time, Taliban was set to take over. Including certain names which I put, random names which I put. When they took over, all those characters came. It's as if you are seeing into the future. But you ask any writer when you go into a zone, any writer who have been writing this for years, they have this. You get connected to it.
I am so overwhelmed and feeling so enriched over here, and I really feel like bowing down before you for the knowledge and for the work that you are doing for the generations to come. And I'm so blessed to be here, in fact.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You would have felt that, when you're acting, certain times you get into a zone and nobody needs to tell. Sportsmen get that.
Yeah.
You get into a zone. Many a times in your work also you will find that. Certain things you are doing, you get into a zone and get connected to something, certain things. When you write with hand, it happens more. More than a laptop. It happens more. Or try dictating it to a mobile or a recorder. Then also it happens. But it will happen after 1 or 2 hours of dictation. Not immediately. You'll be fumbling and all a lot.
But it's because we are brought up with the writing, so when we start writing, our brain works a certain way. That's the way we are wired. I mean, today's kids who are not writing, who are typing, they start doing that and their brain works like that. So that's, I would say, neuroplasticity. I would think that,
Laptop gives a certain way of writing. Typewriter gives a different way of writing. I can understand why revolutions happened. Well, I have a typewriter. I have 3-4 typewriters. When I type in a typewriter, it has a lot of anger and frustration coming inside. Maybe you are using a lot. It's very powerful. It's the most distractionless device. Because in a pen, I tend to draw. With a pen, because I do cartooning and all, I tend to draw and I get distracted. When I speak also, you get distracted, thought goes. Distraction free is an old manual typewriter. Only thing is that 4 o'clock is the time I write. My wife doesn't allow me to write in the 4 o'clock and my dog starts barking if I use a typewriter. That's the only problem I'm having with the typewriter. But it's totally distraction-free equipment. But a lot of anger comes. So I can know why revolutions happened, the writings of Marx, how it came, all these things, because it was a typewriter era they were doing. Only problem is you should be able to read the handwriting. My problem is that after writing everything, I know what I have written.
Well, that brings us to the end of our session for Authors Anonymous Anthology of Mythology. Please give a round of applause for our lovely guest and host.